Throughout history, humanity has wrestled with existential questions. Why we're here, what happens after death, what governs the cosmos, and in doing so, has constructed a wide variety of belief systems to offer comfort, order, or purpose. These belief systems, collectively known as religions, span thousands of years and encompass countless gods, prophets, rituals, and doctrines. Yet despite their cultural depth and personal meaning for many, religion as a category remains universally unsubstantiatable. Its core claims lack testability, reproducibility, and verifiable evidence. Verarchy, a system of law meaning rule by truth, is a system of law that means law will be rational. Rationalism being the tool to find truth in reality and apply it to law through deduction. In the current systems around the world, religion has a big influence over law. But in rational law, only what can be firmly established in reality, through the tools of rationalism and empiricism, can be used in the formation of law. In a world where limited time, energy, and resources demand strategic focus, many individuals, especially those engaged in science, innovation, or problem-solving, find that focusing on the substantiatable is essential. There is simply no room for devoting cognitive effort to things that cannot be proven or discredited, particularly when real-world outcomes are the priority. Religion as an unprovable construct. All religions share one core trait. They rest on premises that cannot be substantiated by empirical evidence. Whether it is the resurrection of Jesus, the divine dictation of the Quran, the reincarnation cycle in Hinduism, or the literal truth of creation myths, none of these can be independently confirmed or tested. They are accepted on faith, not demonstration. This is not to say religion is meaningless to those who believe in it, but it does mean it belongs in a separate category from science, engineering, mathematics, or even evidence-based ethics. It has no place in writing law, in rational law. You will have religious freedom, in verarchy, but you will not have the freedom to impose your religion on others, even in practices you think should be protected, like circumcision, indoctrinating children, or some marriages, and so forth. There is no method to validate whether a soul exists or to measure divine will. The untestable nature of these beliefs makes them unfit for disciplines that require falsifiability, the scientific gold standard, and the standard in rationalism. The example of communism as a secular religion. One might assume that only supernatural doctrines qualify as religious, but this is not so. Communism, as it emerged in the 20th century, especially in the Soviet Union and Maoist China, has been identified by numerous scholars and historians as a secular religion. It held up utopian promises, a classless society, the withering away of the state, equality of all, as certainties to be achieved through strict ideological conformity and mass sacrifice. These promises, like the rewards of heaven, never materialized. Instead of evidence-based governance, communist regimes engaged in rituals of belief, chanting party slogans, idolizing leaders like Lenin or Mao as infallible, and persecuting dissenters as heretics. Academics in political science and history have often pointed out that communism required the same kind of blind faith as traditional religions. The outcomes theorized by Marx and others were never substantiated. They became dogma, divorced from measurable success. Thus, communism functions as a religion without gods, with its scriptures, Das Kapital, prophets, Marx, Engels, Lenin, and holy missions, World Revolution, demanding belief and obedience without delivering the promised paradise. Like many religions, it substituted idealism for pragmatism and punished reality for not conforming to theory. The cost of religion, tradition over function. In countries where religion dominates public life, be it Islam in Saudi Arabia, Christianity in parts of sub-Saharan Africa or Latin America, or Hinduism in rural India, there is often a strong correlation with lower levels of technological advancement, entrenched gender roles, resistance to critical education, and lagging human development indices. These nations are often more obsessed with preserving tradition than embracing evidence-based reform. In highly religious societies, decisions are frequently made based on scripture rather than data. For instance, sex education may be banned not because it is ineffective, but because it clashes with religious taboos. Vaccination campaigns may be resisted, women may be excluded from education or work, and infrastructure may suffer while religious structures flourish. The net result is a loss of real-world progress in exchange for symbolic or spiritual conformity. Conversely, secular societies like those in Scandinavia, Japan, or South Korea, which emphasize realism, education, and empiricism, consistently rank higher in innovation, economic performance, life expectancy, and social mobility. Their focus on substantiatable outcomes enables them to solve real problems, rather than defer to mythical explanations or unverifiable mandates from religious authorities. Religion's impact at the family and individual level. The influence of religion isn't just national, it's deeply personal and familial. Children raised in highly religious households are often taught what to believe before they are taught how to think. Doubt becomes a moral failing rather than a healthy exercise in critical thinking. For many, childhood is spent memorizing texts and rituals that do not prepare them for real-world decision-making, problem-solving, or scientific reasoning. In many religious families, time and resources are spent on church attendance, tithing, religious schooling, and enforcing outdated customs, often to the detriment of financial literacy, emotional maturity, or career readiness. Parents may impose religious boundaries on friendships, media, or education, limiting exposure to new ideas and diverse perspectives. Even when individuals leave religion later in life, they often carry residual guilt, shame, or confusion that takes years to deconstruct. The mental load of maintaining beliefs without evidence can drain cognitive energy, distort moral development, and interfere with self-actualization. In short, religion has a long half-life in the mind, and it often gets in the way of focusing on what matters. The pragmatist's imperative. For those committed to building a better future, whether through science, education, sustainable agriculture, public health, or entrepreneurship, there is little room for beliefs that can't be validated. The world is full of real problems that require real solutions, and the more one is occupied with unverifiable spiritual concerns, the less capacity there is for useful action. It is not a moral attack to say religion is unsubstantiatable. It is simply a categorical clarification. Religion may offer stories, values, and a sense of belonging, but it cannot offer proof. In that sense, it is not wrong, but it is irrelevant to material progress unless it aligns with substantiatable outcomes. Conclusion: focusing on what's real. In every age, the human mind has faced a choice: to fill the unknown with stories, or to patiently uncover evidence. Religion represents the first path, deeply human, emotionally compelling, but ultimately unverifiable. The second path, though slower and harder, builds rockets, cures disease, powers homes, and feeds billions. As information grows and time shrinks, it is understandable, even necessary, that those who wish to make headway in the world prioritize what can be known and tested. Substantiatable reality is not always comforting, but it is the only foundation upon which lasting change can be built.